Okay. Hi. If you want to see, if you like being in the back, that's fine. But if you want to, you either bring cushions up here if you want a cushion, or there are chairs or something like that. You might not hear me if I mumble, which happens from time to time. Mumble, mumble. Very good. Hey, great. You took a risk. Now we'll all look at you. It's great. Cool. Very good. It's nice. I like the feeling of being connected that happens when we're up close. So thank you. Okay, so this is an old story, and it's one of the great old classic teachers who's kind of famous. And one of the interesting things, the teacher was called Yangshan, was his name, Mount Yang, you know. But it's as if you lived here and were teaching and were called Santa Rosa. It's really it's the place name. But a couple of interesting things about the teacher is that the teacher and his teacher were really close friends, and they always sort of hung out together, and they lived together and talked and taught together. And so in some ways they're a bit of a model for how we like to do it in PZI, you know, where we kind of try to collaborate and talk about deep things together. And so in a way you're all involved in that collaboration and laboratory and discovery process, right? So, and thank you. So there's that. So so there's that, and then the teacher. This teacher was thought to have, you know, a tremendous feeling for things like timing and for the way things were flowing, and you know, people said it was like he was reading their minds, things like that. So he was a smart and interesting person, but he has this. So he has this dream, and in the dream, it's a meditation dream. So he has a dream. In the dream, he goes to the future Buddha's place. Okay, Maitreya's place, and then he's shown to the third seat. So that's whatever third means to you, the third seat. Maybe Shakyamuni Buddha was sitting in the second seat. You know, I don't know, but it's just interesting. He sits in the third seat, and then somebody stands up and says, the person in charge of the meditation hall stands up and says, "Today, the one in the third seat is going to teach." And he doesn't say, "Who, me?" or "Why wasn't I prepared?" or you know, "You didn't give me a chance." And he just stands up and walks to the lectern. You know, it's a dream. He can do that. and then he does this great thing where he has a stick at the lectern and he hits it. And it's good solid wood on that table. It's good. And and then he says, then he gives this kind of little teaching. The truth is beyond. The truth of the great vehicle, the Mahayana, the great, generous, big-hearted vehicle, is beyond anything you can say about, propose about, and anything you can, you know, say against. Say, it's not that. So it's, and that's like a philosophical tradition where you say something and then you unmake it and things like that. But the interesting thing is, it's not that super important to learn the philosophical tradition, because he says the truth is beyond that. So the truth is beyond. But we know that the way our mind says, "Oh, it's this." No, it's not. It's that. It's beyond that. All that. You can know what your mind does when it's making those kind of statements about reality. You know, it's your fault. No, it's my fault. All those kind of things are just, you know, the statements. It's beyond all that. And so And then he says, listen, listen. So it's a very simple teaching. But there's that thing that, oh, listen. When you listen to, so right now if we just listen. Listen, listen. Then when a sound comes to it, you notice that there's a difference between chasing out for sound and just letting it come to you, right? So just let it come to you. And the table and the rattling of the statue. Listen, listen. And then the universe stops, because there's just listening. And at that moment, there's not even a you, really. There's just listening. There's just the sound. And so, oh, there's something going on here. And you can notice that the thing that meditation does, and koans do very well, is we connect with what's underneath or before all the thoughts and stories about the world we have. This is good and this is bad. Before all that, there's that sound. If you just don't try to make it something, it's less than you're trying to make it. Because the moment is just here, right? If you just look at what's going on right now, in your body even, or your thoughts, just notice this very moment. You might notice there's nothing wrong with you, and there's nothing wrong with your life at this moment. You can argue about the future later. That's Maitreya's business, because he's the Buddha to come. But right now, you might notice, oh, in that sound, I hear it the same. Prisoners and emperors and, every women and men, every kind of creature hears the sound. It's generous in that way. Life is here for us all, and nobody's shut out of it. So all that's just in a listen, 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 listen. Listen. And then the other interesting thing for me about this is, like, he cares about his dreams, And dreams and the koan tradition have a long kind of intertwining, because koans are a bit like dreams, And the thing about a dream is that it's telling you something about yourself, but you don't know always how to read it, And at one time in my life, I made a living. I always had the zendo, but I made a living by working with people's dreams with them, and which was kind of great, actually. And meditate and have a dream, we can work together. And so, but I noticed that some people were afraid of their dreams because they thought it might be telling them something about themselves that they didn't know or want to hear. And so they were a little afraid of stepping into the unknown that way. And a koan is very similar in that way. It's actually on your side, and it's friendly, but it's a friendliness in the dark. So if you start hanging out with a koan and with the story of the koan, you notice that the 4 propositions, 100 negations, you start thinking, it's this, it's this, it's this. But as you keep going, something deeper happens and you change. So that's the thing about koans. And dreams have that quality too. And if you meditate every day, you'll notice your dreams change. And there's a kind of whole category of teaching dreams like this, like this one. His teacher then said to him, well, seems like you're a teacher now. When he had that dream, you can teach him Maitreya's place. You're probably okay. You're probably beyond my help now. So, but I remember one of my teachers telling me this great story that he was meditating, and he was deep in deep meditation with a koan, and suddenly he just disappeared, and he was in this ancient temple, and he's walking around, people were walking around in this ancient temple, and they'd been there, for timeless. It was a timeless thing. And they were walking around chanting, and you smell the incense, and he was gone for an hour or two in that temple. So that dreamlike, there was a dreamlike quality of that. I remember having a dream where I climbed a mountain when my meditation was deepening, and I was doing a lot of it. I remember going down past the coffins of the dead saints, and then down into a valley, then climbing a mountain and to a temple. And the funny thing about the mountain was that I was with a friend, and we were eating ice cream cones as we went up. So there was a joyful, playful thing. And all these children were coming down from the mountain into the world. So it was a really, to me, a profound dream. So I was going to the place the children come from, and then I got up to the top, and there was a woman actually was running, was the abbot of the temple up there. And she just welcomed me and said, "Well, glad you arrived." Things like that sort of thing. So there was a feeling that my meditation was opening up at that time. You can feel this in Yangshan's dream too. You can feel like there's something. He's not fighting with himself so much, That's there. So dreams are interesting things because they tell us that we can rely on. In fact, we have to rely on things that we don't necessarily have a good short story for. And koans are the same. And we can start trusting those things that, if we stop fighting with ourselves, we start trusting what the universe gives us and life gives us. And it's a strange thing, but you find that it's all right if you get a diagnosis or get sick or something. It'll be all right, because you're there, and you're free, and you're not fighting with yourself, And in a certain way, the nourishment and the unexpected help of the universe is there in that quality, in koans and dreams. The involuntary quality of the universe, it is. That it's not something that you made happen, which is why people are scared of it, because we like to pretend we make everything happen, and of course we can't and we don't, But instead of that, we step into a deeper mystery that holds us, and we realize, I'm connected we're connected to each other, and just the way the trees are connected underneath through the mycelium and the roots touching and things like that. So that's my thought about Yangshan's dream. And I went, how are you doing with dreams? How do you do with the koan? How do you do with the listen? Which is my favorite part. Actually, the two favorite parts for me are the dream and then the listen. So what did you notice when you meditated?
Curious about the third seat. Trying to think about what that was in my life.
What did you get?
Why? I don't know. I haven't figured it out yet. Why would I sit in the first seat? Would I sit in the second seat? Why would I sit in? Of course, I was directed to. That was.
It's kind of sweet in a way because three is this sort of strange, magical sort of number, And so there's that, and also sitting in the first seat sounds a bit like probably modest in a way. It's like in a way there's too much of me in that, in a way. But the third seat is you really belong. You're going to have to give a talk, but you don't have to deal with your own stuff about am I important or not? Or, is this the right seat for me? All that stuff. Nobody cares, just go where you're told. And you end up in the third seat. That sounds pretty good. Yeah.
I was in Istanbul this summer. I had an incredible dream. And I was in Istanbul, and all day long there's the prayers going on 5 times a day. And you can hear them through the streets. And woke up one morning and there must have been just a prayer. And I had a dream that I had created this Passover Seder for my whole family, and there was enough room for anybody to come. It was in a big field. We always have big Passover, but this. And my sister-in-law's mother just died, and so she came to me in the dream and said, "Thank you so much for doing this. This is so beautiful." And then we started talking about all the different stories in Passover and had this really interesting discussions. And as we were talking, my sister-in-law, who's kind of the guide of the Judaism in our family, took a stick and started drawing in the sand. She was in sand, and so she started writing what people were saying and what people were thinking in the sand. And I was trying to remember the story that came from. And then after she wrote all the, what people were talking about, I asked everybody to lay down at the end of the Seder and go into Shavasana. So this was kind of the juxtaposition of my Judaism and my yoga. I'm a yoga teacher. And so I asked everybody to lay down in Shavasana, which is the final pose. And so everyone laid out. There were people all over. And then I said, and if you're comfortable, I want you to go pick up somebody and put them on the front of your body, holding their feet so their body's facing out. And so I remember my daughter was there, who's now 30s, but she was 5, and I picked her up, and then a nephew came and picked up my son, who was young then. And so people started picking people up, and then we started davening. So in Judaism, you pray. And so it was almost like the people on the front of our bodies became our prayer shawls, and we started davening. And that was my dream, and I woke up and kind of very full and very deep, and kind of the juxtaposition of this culture I was in with the Muslims, listening to their prayers, and my Judaism, and then my yoga and meditation. So it was really interesting. And it reminded me of the listen. So I was listening. That was good.
Who else? What did you notice? How was it in meditation?
I was really struck by the listen. I'm just noticing so much these days that I'm kind of a verbal, psychologically oriented, spiritually oriented talker. And more I'm being reminded that it doesn't necessarily get me anywhere, certainly not into necessarily a close relationship. It really works better, and I just continue to think about listening, asking and listening, instead of putting my own self out all the time.
Nice when we catch ourselves doing that. There's something about, all you just have to do is notice, and then you don't have to reform or improve yourself, but something starts to shift, and your attention, and then that shifts your relationship to the world.
But I've known this for a long time, but it's just lately that I'm being able to do something with it.
Well, we developed for our leadership groups, we developed some listening exercises that we first developed for Buddhist teachers, who used to big audiences and things, and we're slow. Buddhist teachers don't like to listen. One of my friends, I had to carry her off stage while she was still talking. I was running a conference, the thing I wanted to, there's that thing about, and even if you're trying to listen and you notice you're not, in that noticing there's the listening, right? And so that's that turning that happens in the heart in meditation, where things become all right. It's nice, and we're not judging ourselves either.
Well, it's a great teaching from you.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, good. Yeah, Masha. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, well, it was the whole thing about it, being this dream. It had this dreamlike quality because that's what it had, and then to get in there and putting me in the third, or putting the person in the third seat, and then suddenly the person in the third seat is going to be doing the teaching, and it was like the juxtaposition. So it was like, whoa. For me, it was like, if it were me, I said, oh, I should have been paying closer attention to this because they kind of tricked me, So in my mind, it was all kind of a trick, like, you'll just sit here and then, oh, well, that's the person that's going to be doing the teaching. It just...
So the nice thing would be, so who's the one who thinks things are tricks?
Yeah.
If you see what I mean, right? And what's it like to think things are tricks? And so then the meditation becomes that for you, rather than working out whether it's a trick or not, which it's more like, oh, what am I, that sort of, that suspicion thing that the mind does, comparing ourselves or feeling like that. It's an interesting thing. And one of the interesting things that's in the I want to say the dream, but in the koan is there's not any of that. It's just very simple. He doesn't object. He just gets up and does the teaching, and so. But and the nice thing about that is then it shows that, like the listen shows us how we don't listen, or the simplicity shows us how sometimes I don't make it simple, or like that. So, thanks for bringing that up, because that's one of those things that just comes up with that story. So like it's like when you say the koan, no picking and choosing, immediately picking and choosing comes up. So I like that, so thank you. Did you have more about that?
Well, I was just sort of listening to what you were saying, and it's interesting because when I go into meditation, there's a lot of noise at first, and then it goes deeper and deeper. But I got kind of caught up there, like, oh, I wasn't paying attention.
I don't know if I'm making sense, but I went deeper than the paying attention part.
Nice.
Because when I go in, I like paying attention to maybe the sensation in my body or the coming and going of the breath, and then if I get into this kind of altered state, and then suddenly the one in the third seat is the teacher, and it's like, oh, if I'm going to have to teach, well, there's a lot to be explored there, but it's like, oh, I should have been paying more attention. But I don't, it's just kind of, maybe I'm saying the same thing, but it's the being caught out, which is what I was sort of talking about.
And I think, and maybe that's kind of a good moment, because we surprise ourselves, and so the moment when we're caught out means my usual strategies of being hip aren't working,
Yeah, so that's the good moment in a way.
Yeah, in a way, that's why those things are kind of precious, like, particularly if we think, oh, I'm more cool than that, it's nice to see that we're not, and, like your listening thing. I'm sophisticated and psychological and thoughtful and kind, I just don't listen. That's great, I'm particularly fond of that one. I've had this pointed out to me in my life. So, more than once. So yeah. Or the other thing about the self-consciousness about, oh my God, if I'd known, I would have dodged the occasion. I wouldn't have had this dream if I'd known what was going to happen.
I wouldn't have sat in the third seat if I
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I didn't get that whoever it was directed to the third seat. I got that they chose the third seat.
Well,
that's
your dream.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's fine. But what you can tell what I'm interested in here, what we're interested in, which is, you can tell it's in the koan too, the things that happen to us like that are part of the path. They're not mistakes, Like, and we notice how, whatever it is about listening, or whatever it is about objecting to having to perform for people, or whatever it is, because, well, why? What's wrong? People want you to perform, they'll get what they get. Yeah. So,
what struck me was kind of the lack of a performance. He gets up there and it's like, I don't have to give a talk because it would be very absurd to talk about any of this stuff because the way is much deeper than that. You know, so it's like he kind of goes, I don't need to go there, you know. It was sort of elegant in a way. Just like, so yeah, it's not, you know, just not worry about all that stuff and just, you know, listen. It was quite beautiful. But also, it's like he kind of knew he didn't need to have a big talk prepared.
Well, and in a way, if we are the journey we're on, you know, and so then what comes out of us is what comes out of us, you know, and what we learn is what we learn. Well, if you're listening, you have no control over what you're going to hear, you know. It's like that with, you step into Buddha's temple, none of your business what happens, you know. If you're asked to speak, stand up and speak. Whatever it is. If you can't say anything, don't say anything. You know, so it's like that.
Well, that was like the sound.
Yeah, 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 yeah. He did that. Yeah. There's something very objective in a way about that. You know. Yeah. Who else? What else? What else did you notice?
Well, I just noticed how easily and confidently I just got up when I was told to go to the lectern. It was like I just did it. There was none of the usual hesitation, like I don't know what I'm doing or I'm not good enough for this or why did they pick me. I just like did it. It was so easy. It was amazing. I mean, my dream didn't take me as far as what I said. I just dreamed that the act of knowing this was the right thing to do to go there. Kind of like that was.
That's a nice thing. We notice that happens to us sometimes in our lives, right? We just, you know, our steps are right, and the things we feel, and the things that just what we need comes to us, and the thought or feeling we need. And so it's a nice thing. It's nice to know that that's part of the repertoire that meditation makes available to us, really. You know, of like where things just flow. You know, and we're not pushing at them, and we're just in that rhythm. Simple. Nice. You had that feeling. That's good. Yeah. Yeah.
I was just laughing because I made myself a little nook back there because I'm an introvert anyway, and I was feeling very introverted. So I went to the back and I got a little cushion, I put a little thing, and I told Michael, I made a little nook right back here because the bigger it gets, the more introverted. And then he said, well, actually, you're ringing the bell, so you're going to be right up there.
Nice.
When the koan came, I was thinking of that.
Yeah, well, that's it, isn't it? That's really great, yeah. So the rhyme is on your side, you know. Life is on your side sometimes, really. And yeah, that's beautiful. Today, the one in the third seat will ring the bells, yeah. That's really great. And then you learn to ring bells. It's so cool, yeah. Yeah, who else? Anything else?
I thought the third seat was sort of like a metaphor for the third person. Because I feel like in order for you to listen to anything, you have to be in the third person, in your third person.
Oh, wow.
Like when you are trying to exposit thoughts, it's either from the first or second person. And to say anything about what this is like sort of useless. Because you can't hear anything unless you, that was my thought.
Like there's this huge range, isn't there, around a great koan like this. And good for you. Yeah, yeah. There is, I mean, like there's all these different ways and possibilities, and you know. That's why I like having all the voices in the room, you know, because we start to say, oh, there's a wisdom that we're all holding bits of and sharing. You know. Yeah, Vicky.
So when you said listen, like sitting with the Heart Sutra in the summer, all I could hear was
listen, Shariputra form is emptiness, and so it's always fascinating how the koans seem to merge together. And so I was just, that's what was coming up for me. I just kept hearing Shariputra form is emptiness every time you said listen. So
I think that's great. Yeah, that tends to. I have that too. You know, it's like the trees talking through the mycelium under the forest floor. The koans start talking to each other through me. You know, and listen, Shariputra, listen. Yeah, that's listen. Yeah, yeah. That's beautiful. Yeah, I like that quality of the way it shows you how the deep. That's a little sample of the deep links in the universe where we're all linked in some way. There's something holds us all. Well, it's the end of summer, isn't it? Oh, go ahead.
You were talking about links, and I have another link from someplace in my past. I had the listen. Listen, listen, listen to my heart song. I will never forget you. I will never forsake you. And I don't know where I heard that or what the context was.
It's
but
a self-realization fellowship song.
What?
That's a what?
Self-realization fellowship.
Yeah.
But I never went there.
Maybe in a different life you went.
But what it did was remind me of all the years that I've been seeking, and here I am, listening here.
And there's a beauty in the journey.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Basho says that each day is a journey, and the journey itself is home. Yeah.
Could you say that little poem or whatever it is again?
Listen, listen, listen to my heart song. It's an actual song. I won't burden you with my singing it. Listen, listen, listen to my heart song. I will never forget you. I will never forsake you. And you repeat it as a chant.
Well, in a way, that's walking the path. You know, we're going to do it for the rest of our lives. You know, going to be practicing, maybe for many lives. Yeah. In the dream.
And it's comforting to do it with a group, with other people who are also on the path. It feels right.
Yeah, it's nice. So it's nice we've all come here at the end of summer. And I don't know if it's really the end of summer, but in some ways it is. People think it is in some way. And I can feel somehow the year turning a bit. And there's always something interesting and lively. There's a slight melancholy in it, but also there's a depth in it, something interesting in it for me. So I'm glad of that, you know. So let's.
Can I ask one question?
Yeah.
Why do you think the Buddha wasn't born yet?
Because Maitreya has not. He's a particular Buddha his role is not to have been born yet. That's Maitreya. There are different Buddhas. There's a Buddha of the there are Buddhas of the past. There are 7 ancient Buddhas. Yeah, really. It's on the internet, you know, and you can just read it anyway. And then there's a future Buddha who's yet to be born. It's a bit like the Messiah, actually. You know, I mean, it's sort of. I don't know who was borrowing from whom, but it's a bit like that.
Buddha still not born yet?
Well, this Buddha's still in that palace, so if you go to that palace, you'll get to meet that Buddha. So, but it hasn't been born into this realm, yeah. And it's the idea of something to come is interesting, and it's a profound thing, you know. Yeah.
Talk a little bit more about that.
Well, you know, in Zen, it's here. You know, there was that joke about, I don't know, it was a New Yorker joke or something about, you know, all those people were holding placards saying the end of the world is near, or somebody's coming, whatever, the Messiah's coming, whatever. This old Buddhist guy is holding monk is holding a placard saying, Buddha here now. Because, you know, what's the name of the Buddha? What's the name of the Buddha? Great. Okay, yeah, listen. Yeah, what else? What's the name of the Buddha? Great, say something. What's that?
Me.
What?
I'm the Buddha.
Yeah, what's your name?
Eleanor.
Yeah, good. See. So it's not the future Buddha, it's the now Buddha. Buddha here now. You're here now. The Buddha has no other hands or feet than yours, yeah. That's the koan, yeah.
It's
So,
sort of just interesting, like, you know, you say, what was your Buddha before? Like, well, what happened before the Big Bang?
yeah.
There's another Big Bang.
Well, what did you eat for breakfast this morning?
Yeah.
What happened to the Buddha? That was eons ago. Yeah. But the idea, I mean, one of the things that legends and myths do is that they touch the soul in some way and touch the heart in some way. And they're kind of sweet. So then you get out of them what you get out of them. Like, you know, like dreams are like that, because dreams bring in the magic like that, of things. And that's part of practice, is that it changes your dreams and changes the kind of thoughts you have. Not because you wanted it to, and it doesn't change them in necessarily the way you thought, but it softens and makes you more transparent to life, more touched by life, really. And just less, it's okay to be you, here, now, Buddha. Okay. Announcements. Who has the announcements?
I'll do the announcements. So we meet 3 days a week, Monday evening and then Thursday for lunch, starting from noon. And then on Sunday morning from 10:30 to 10:30. Oh, I'm sorry, 10:30 to noon. And if you sign your name on a list in the back, you send out 1 email a week to tell you what's going on. And we have retreats. We have a long retreat coming up in October. And if you want more information, it's easy to look on the web. The information is pacificzen.org. Yeah. And if you're able to make a contribution, there's a donation box by the door, and that's how we keep the lights on. So we'll welcome to all the newcomers, and hope you come back.
Thank you, Michael.
Sure.
So, do you know how to do the sutras? Does anybody? I'll do them.
Okay.
Do you want me to do them? Or do you want? Very good.
Oh, you mean hand out the books?
Yeah. Well, no. Just like we don't have somebody to ring the bells who knows knows how to lead the chants, and we'll just do a really abbreviated version.
Do you
But
want
if no,
Okay.
do you know? But if you know how to do it,
I do not.
yeah. Okay, then we'll try to teach you while I do it, so you'll be able to do it in the future. Maybe you better give me one so I know what page the things are. So the first one is on page 3. Three. It's the third seat, silly.
Holy Ghost.
Refuge. I take refuge in awakening. I take refuge in the way. I take refuge in my companions. Buddham saranam gacchami, Dhammam saranam gacchami, Sangham saranam gacchami, Buddham dhammam sangham. Buddham saranam gacchami, Dhammam saranam gacchami, Sangham saranam gacchami, Buddham dhammam sangham. Buddham saranam gacchami, Dhammam saranam gacchami, Sangham saranam gacchami, Buddham dhammam sangham. Let's go to page 6. And this one, just listen to what I'm doing with the bells, so you just take it in with your body and consider yourself like you're actually leading it, I'm just doing it for you. As we've got a learning happening as we do it here. We're all learning it. So there's one open note and a closed note for this one. Praise, Hakuin Zenji, praise song for meditation.
Page 8.
Page 8, well there we are. I got the magic one with the wrong page.
I never saw that one before. There's one part that's wrong, right?
Oh, maybe I'm wrong. No, I'm always wrong. It's fine. This book is different. It's not wrong, it's just different. Page 8. Hakuin Zenji, praise song for meditation. Beings are Buddha by nature, just as water and ice are the same. Without water there is no ice. Outside of beings, no Buddha. People miss what's in front of them and go searching far from home. It's sad if someone's staying in water and crying out in thirst. A child from a rich family, struggling among the poor. We cycle through heavens and hells because we keep setting out on the dark roads of ignorance. Dark road after dark road. When will we be freed from birth and death? Meditation can't be praised enough. The good effects of generosity and discipline, prayer, self-reflection, and practice have made source in meditation. With what you gain from just one sitting, all your crimes are wiped away. Then where all the heavens and hells, the pure land comes near. If this way moves you the first time you hear it, and you simply follow it, endless blessings come to you. Even more, if you turn the light inward and witness your own nature, which is empty nature, you go beyond any doctrine. Gate opens, cause and effect are one. There's no two, no three. The formless form comes into form. Going or returning, we're in the right place. Thinking thoughts without thought. Singing and dancing are the voice of the way. Vast emptiness of beat meditation, the brightness of the bright moon of wisdom. Is anything missing from this moment? Nirvana appears before us. This very place is paradise. This very body is the Buddha. All living things are one seamless body and pass quickly from dark to dark. We remember you who cared for us and are gone, you who are ill, you who are at war, who are hungry and who are in pain. May you heal and have peace. We especially dedicate our service to, and anybody you want to, just say their name. Donald Trump. The dog who just died, Zingu, yeah. With people I know who are sick and, you know, like that. And those we love and those we have trouble loving. You know. Some of the kids trying to cross the borders. You know. Cross on over, cross that river, set us free. Cross on over, cross that river, set us free. Cross on over, cross that river, set us free. All Buddhas throughout space and time, all awakened beings, great beings, the heart of perfect wisdom. The four boundless vows. I vow to wake all the beings of the world. I vow to set endless heartache to rest. I vow to walk through every wisdom gate. I vow to live the great Buddha way. I vow to wake all the beings of the world. I vow to set endless heartache to rest. I vow to walk through every wisdom gate. I vow to live the great Buddha way. I vow to wake all the beings of the world. I vow to set endless heartache to rest. I vow to walk through every wisdom gate. I vow to live the great Buddha way. Thank you, Bodhisattvas.
Thank you, John.
Nice to sit together at the end of summer and the beginning of autumn. Blessings for the season and the night.